Hey everybody, David Gordon here from TheaterMania with Alyssa May Gold.
Hello.
One of the stars of our Dear Dead Drug Lord.
Yep, member of the Girl Gang forever.
Cast member of How I Learned to Drive at Manhattan Theater Club, which was in rehearsals when the theater shutdown happened. Artistic director, founder of Pocket Universe. I'm
the founder and president of Pocket Universe.
Perfect. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, and also there's a global pandemic, and it's
right.
Both of those things kind of exist at the same time right now.
Yeah. How are you keeping busy? Like, what is your day-to-day like at this point?
Oh my God, that's the question that like I black out when people ask me that on regular days. Yeah. So right now it looks a lot like what my life looks like when I'm doing a Pocket Universe production, where it's like, or maybe more like the pre-production process where I wake up and I'm like, there are lots of problems in the world. Someone should probably make some art to fix that. And then like, it's suddenly 6 p.m. and I'm still in a bathrobe. Yeah. And then I'll like go for a long walk, which I've been doing every day, which has been really nice. And on one of those walks, I finally came up with like Pocket Universe Survival Club, which is what my project is right now with the company, where it's not a book club. But we are reading stories of aspirational survival and applying that. And then we're going to talk about like how we can apply them to our mindsets to build resilience right now.
Oh, awesome. So tell us about what is Pocket Universe for the people watching that might not know?
So the people watching at home, Pocket Universe is a theater and film production company dedicated to reconsidering and reimagining classic stories and conventions. And what that has manifested in so far is taking the great classic plays that have kind of shaped Western society and investigating the ways in which they explore the universal human experience. That's kind of why they've stood the test of time, but only offered that to a very small portion of humans, and trying to open that up to other interpretations of those stories. So we started with Julius Caesar.
That was a great production.
Say that again?
That was a great production. I love it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy. So I wanted to, so like, how do you reconsider that? And we did it with all teenage girls.
Yeah, which is really cool. It's a cool idea.
Thanks. It felt like, I felt like when the first time I saw Caesar, I really related to Brutus. Like Portia, nothing. Calpurnia, couldn't tell you a thing about them because they're written very specifically as women, which I don't even know what that means. Brutus is a human.
Yeah.
And a messed up, complicated human. And I was like, I want that. I want to do that. And I wanted to open up space for other women and people who are not this like one prototypical human to actually play those roles.
My first Caesar was the one that was in the park. The one, and I think yours was right after.
It was like the summer of Caesar.
Yeah,
everyone was doing it. I think we took like the least political tact. We were looking at it more like a social, because that play is like most of his plays are allegories and are are warnings about kind of power in general. So we wanted to look from that lens.
What kind of stories are you reading now, or what are you investigating now?
So I have, over the course of my career, like as an actor and as a person who has faced professional disappointment, I've looked to a lot of stories of like wilderness survival, because actually people like have these mindsets that there's a mindset that predicts whether or not you will survive a plane crash that has nothing to do with physical ability. And so there's this book, Miracle in the Andes, that I have here.
Yeah.
By Nando Parado, and his rugby team. They were all like 19 and 20-year-old men. Their rugby team were on this plane and it crashed in the Andes Mountains. None of them were mountain climbers. None of them, the whole first half of the book is him talking about what a egotistical wise guy he was, who thought nothing, he thought he was invincible. And he and his best friend climbed through the mountains to get help, and they wound up saving a whole bunch of their friends. And he writes about just how, so it all had to do with his mindset of accepting that he was probably going to die and deciding he was going to die walking. And that's been like one of my mantras as an actor, is like,
oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Like,
that's really cool.
It's really, really cool. So I like put it out on the Pocket Universe website, and I sent an email to the mailing list thinking like, no one's going to want to read this book with me, but it's the best I can think of to do right now because I don't want to make theater. I have no impulse to like try to do it through a screen.
Yeah.
But when you think about like, what is theater supposed to do? It's supposed to get people together and present us with other options for how we might move emotionally through our lives. And I feel like that can be accomplished in getting together and telling and reading a story. So many people wrote to me. I've had to split us into 2 groups so that we can have a conversation. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I've got a bunch of people who are meeting Friday night, and then the next group is meeting on Monday, and it will probably grow from there. And people want to read this book. And I have articles I'm supplementing it with, and I have, a couple of other books we'll do next.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to look into this now because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really helpful because I think the sense that I'm it feels really hubristic, if that's a word, to say that like I feel fine right now. But part of why I feel fine is that I've invested a lot of time in understanding the mindset of like, you're not promised anything. You're not guaranteed anything. And the more willing you are to roll with life as it's actually happening, not as you wish it was happening,
totally.
the time you're going to have.
Because I've spent a lot of time thinking how I would never survive on a Naked and Afraid kind of show. And like in my group of friends, I would be the person that gets abandoned or whatever first.
Yes, zombie apocalypse. Like I don't make it.
Yeah, no, I'd be the first one. There wouldn't even be a zombie apocalypse. I would just.
You would just call it a day.
Yeah. Susan Zager, who's watching this, wants to know, what is the name of the book? Sorry, she just joined in, so just hold up.
Hey, Susan, it's called Miracle in the Andes by Nando Parado. I'm trying to do it mirrors. Oh, there we go.
And I'm sure Amazon is still shipping, even though if you can get it 6 months from now.
Yeah, people have gotten them within the week. And what I've been doing, I downloaded the audiobook, and when I go on my socially distant walk at 6 p.m., I listen to it, and I find it really, really helpful to like just kind of like meditate to that.
And I feel like your other projects are certainly in a similar vein. Like How I Learned to Drive is in a similar vein to what you're talking about of your company.
Absolutely.
Drug Lord, which is not a play that you wrote but were in, is certainly reminiscent of your Pocket Universe, Julius Caesar, and the other shows you've done with women.
That play, it was like someone designed my dream room and then didn't make me produce it. Like, let me just walk into it as a performer. I was in the same blue pleated skirt and navy blue hoodie. When they showed me my costume, I was like, I can't even. It was so the most perfect kind of next step of what I was trying to do at Pocket Universe. Like Women's Project was like, we got it. We're all over it. Our Dear Dead Drug Lord is a play I knew nothing about going in. I saw it really early because I was interviewing Alexis Shear, the playwright. Amazing.
And I knew very little about it. I certainly didn't know what the last 15 minutes of the play were going to inflict upon you.
No.
I still don't want to talk about it because they warned me early on, please don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed.
But what's really impressive, it was an off-Broadway show that ran longer than a lot of Broadway shows do.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about what that was like. It was playing at the McGinn Kazale Theater or whatever it's called, the WP Theater uptown now. It was a second stage WP Theater production.
Yeah. And
then commercial producers came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I mean, from the beginning, we were like, it's gonna run like 6 to 8 weeks. And we were all like all in. And it felt very much in the rehearsal room that like, it was going to go one of two ways. It was either going to be that people were going to be like, you can't do those last 10 minutes on stage, or what ultimately happened where like it shook something loose in people, and whether you loved it or didn't, you couldn't deny that you had an experience, which I think is like the point of theater. It's not to, and I always loved this about the play. It wasn't preaching something to you.
No.
Like it was just saying, it was just waking you up to what was happening and to what that experience and like what it costs to go from girl to woman. That is so different from going just from like child to adult. And I think it was shocking in the right ways, where I think everyone left kind of feeling like, I have some things I need to think about,
Yeah.
Which is great. And so, yeah, so it was, I think the experience of doing it was like as wild as the experience of watching it, where like, you know, you're doing a play for 6 weeks and then suddenly you're doing it for 8. And then you're like, oh, it's becoming this thing that people are really, really into. And we could feel it, that like there would be girls in the front row and we could just see that like we were speaking directly to them. And that I would have done that for another 10 years.
Yeah. Was there talk of doing it more? Like, were you guys hoping that it would have another life after the run eventually ended? Was there ever talk about it?
No, not that we were told about. I mean, I'm sure that there's like, I'm sure that play is going to have a life. Yeah. You know, I don't know what that will look like, right. But we all knew that like January was the end. There was never talk of like, and then we'll actually do it until June.
I realized that January was this year.
Yeah,
sorry.
This calendar year.
Yeah. It's been 18 days. I've been trapped in my apartment for 26 days. Yep. 26? 26.
I have no idea. I've completely lost track.
Yeah.
But no, it was really, really exciting to be in a play that was so, I mean, it was made overwhelmingly by women of color, and to see that like a play like that has a commercial life and
I know, which is unheard of.
But it's a testament to like, it's not like they don't exist, and when they
right.
exist and when they are supported, people want to see them.
Yeah, especially them. And it was a downtown play that was on 75th Street.
Yeah.
74th Street. Playing on the Upper West Side.
Upper West Side.
Yeah.
And people came. We broke records our last week in terms of attendance and box office. You know, and I think it most importantly to me, like when I'm not producing and I'm just on the actor side, like what's most important to me is actually like feeling like I'm connecting with people and walking out of the theater and like there would be girls in the audience who I would clock them like, you know, anytime we looked out into the audience when we were like doing the dance, and I would see there were like 11-year-old girls in the audience, and I'd be like, you can't watch the end of the play. And then I would walk out afterwards and they would just hug me. Just like whatever the higher thing we tapped into wasn't scary to them.
Right.
It's something that they just felt very connected to us through.
That's
like
the power of theater.
Yeah. And when you speak to young women at the real epic human level, you patronize and you don't, you know, because my instinct as now an adult is like, get those girls out of here. Do not let them see the end of this play. It was like sitting there going, it's really hard being 11. It's really hard. Like, and then that they got to see themselves in the little sister. It was just.
Alyssa is so cool.
Hey, Dan Ryan.
Where were you in the How I Learned to Drive process?
We were 3 weeks in. We were like, we were pages from finishing like a first draft of the play. And like I had my fitting the day before our last rehearsal, where I didn't get my like actual costume, but I got to put on like the mock-up of what this was going to be. And we had done, it was so crazy being in that room where like 3 weeks in a rehearsal process with those actors, it was like we could have done what we were doing. If you had brought an audience in, I would have just been like, yes, I'm proud for them to share what's happening. But we also, sorry, go ahead.
You guys were ready.
I mean, like, I don't think anyone actually like felt like they were ready, but I was watching in awe. Like, people need to see what is happening in this room, because that's what's great about the Greek chorus is that like you get so many awesome scenes with people, but the moments that are a little bit and like, you get like I got to just sit and watch them. And
I've waited my entire life to see Mary Louise Parker and David Morse do that play.
They will not disappoint. I cried so many times in the rehearsal room watching just the truth that they immediately into. And Johanna Day as in the scene she's got as the mom and as the aunt, like the three of them, they've clearly like that play has stayed in their bones.
I can't wait to see it. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I hope. But I'm glad that we're waiting so that it's not. I think it would be such a shame to do it for like 3 weeks in July.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Question from viewer: What producing companies or directors is your company most influenced by?
Heavily influenced and inspired by, obviously, the Donmar Shakespeare trilogy that Philip Lloyd did. That was one of the first times I saw all women do Shakespeare, was when I was getting my master's in London, and they took us to see Henry IV. And I just, seeing that kind of uninhibited and unapologetic access to rage is something that roles written for women don't really have.
Right.
And watching also her style, Philip Lloyd's style of directing those plays, where like you set it in a prison, and it's in the back of the Tempest playbill. She wrote something about how like concept should open the text; it should never superimpose onto it.
Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that was something that was really important as we were doing Caesar. Was like, how do we use the school to open it, but live in a metaphorical space, so that like, you know, we're not trying to teach you about all girls high schools.
Totally.
We're trying to open up the text of the play. So super influenced by that. Also, I mean, this is where I would tie in People, Places, and Things, where like what Headlong does.
People, Places, and Things. Yeah, we got there.
I mean, but that was also a really transformative play. That and Robert Icke, whose company I think is Headlong, that produced the first People, Places, and Things. Right. He also did a production of the Oresteia that I saw in London that's coming to Park Avenue Armory. That was also really influential in terms of like taking old stories, making them new, sparse settings that are very economic in how they function, and making sure that you're engaging with the most epic stakes of theater at all times.
Yeah, People, Places, and Things really screwed me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like a kick in the stomach at all points.
At all points. And there's so much in that play about like, in terms of everything Pocket Universe could ever hope to be as we move into new work, that Emma as a role could be played by anybody. It just, she happens to be a woman.
Yeah.
There's nothing female centric necessarily about that role. She's truly standing in as the neutral human, which I can't think of another contemporary play that does that.
Yeah, I can't either, actually. But Denise was so amazing. Denise Goff was so amazing.
Yeah.
To see her go from that to Harper Pitt.
I know.
It was in America.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's someone who like I really looked up to and going into Drug Lord, of like watching interviews with her talking about doing that role, which is, I mean, 2.5 hours of her heart just being like ripped out of her.
Yeah, never off stage either.
Say that again?
Never off stage.
Never off stage. On stage the whole time, bringing it at 100%. And like the way she talked about doing it and how it was just joy, that like that's what you wait as an actor to get to do that. Yeah. And when people would talk to me after Drug Lord and be like, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. Like that's what it is. That's you hope you read a script and you get to the end and you're like, "Oh, you want me to do what?" And like that is where it gets really, that's where you get to use all of your actual actor muscles. And it was really inspiring to watch her do that play and then and see how like, yeah, if you are that good, you do walk off stage going like, yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm inspired to that kind of work ethic and joy.
Question from a viewer. What is the most exciting thing that you've learned or moment that you've had in the How I Learned to Drive rehearsal process?
The most exciting thing I've learned so much. I mean, every day with that group of people is like a master class in art. I would say the most important thing that I've learned specifically in that process is like listening to Paula Vogel talk about that play. And
I to Paula Vogel talk for hours about anything.
Hours and hours. I can't like that she spends so much of her time teaching is just a gift to all of us. That like, but I think the most important thing I've learned through that process is watching somebody take their life and turn it into art in such a meaningful way to try to communicate what she talks about as the gifts we receive from people who harm us. And that's something that has been really important to me in my life, and like that the play it's transformed my perspective on my own life and my own situations, and hearing her talk about it and seeing that. I guess the most important thing I've learned is that like the worst thing that happens to you can be the vehicle for you changing so many people's lives, and that is what the best case scenario of trauma is that it becomes your art, and it becomes something that connects people and heals people the way that play has helped heal and guide me. So I think that's been the most important thing.
I love that play.
It's such a beautiful, important, funny, tragic, there's tragedy in it, but also it's a survivor story.
Yeah, it's oddly life affirming by the end for what the subject meant.
It's 100% life affirming. That her takeaway is like that everything is true all at once.
Yeah.
He harmed her and empowered her, that she will move forward and also always be connected to him. Like, she actually allows you to live in the complexity of the human experience. And I think that's why that play is so life affirming.
Yeah. Does Pocket Universe have a next production plan?
We don't at this exact moment, and thank God, because if we had, I would be losing my mind right now.
As a producer, you would probably your head would be exploding.
It would explode. It is so hard to produce a play. It is. I can't even. There aren't words for it.
What is it like to produce a play?
I
know that's something I know nothing about.
It's like you're trying to build a house and it keeps catching on fire and you keep trying to put out, like, there was one show I produced where it was like, I kept describing it as like, I had a bunch of marbles in my hand and one marble fell and I went to go pick it up and then all the other marbles fell. And then as I put the marbles in, they kept falling. And so it is that kind of like constant panic. And it's also the best thing in the entire world that like I have found such joy and pride in seeing something like Julius Caesar, or the last production we did was Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
It was Juliet and Romeo. And being in a position to revisit a play like Romeo and Juliet, which I did the summer before we did it, and read it and go, this is the biggest love story of all time. I'm supposed to kill myself for a guy who treats me like garbage. I think we can do better. And being in a position to go, okay, great. So here's how I'm going to reimagine it. Here's where I'm going to get the money. Here's who I'm going to put in it. Here's the world I think it could live in. And I'm going to self-isolate for 3 months and put together a workshop. And then I'm going to go, like you're in a position to actually create the work that is meaningful to you. And you actually get to really think about, I always try to start from a place of what's useful. What do I think people need to see right now? Which is part of why I don't want to make anything right now. I think what people don't need me to live stream a reading of Shakespeare. People need options. They need emotional information. And that's part of what I love about producing, is feeling like you have to have a little bit of the narcissistic belief that like I have information that could help people.
Right.
But you don't have to come see it if you don't think that that's true. But I do think I have emotional information that could help people. And so being a producer is like having what you think is useful information and then being able to facilitate a space to share it emotionally. Yeah. And so Pocket Universe has lots of things in my head all the time. There will be another Pocket Universe production, sooner than later. But I don't have anything specific that I can talk about right this second.
We'll wrap up shortly, but I want to leave you with the question, like, what's bringing you joy now? What are you enjoying? Are you watching stuff? Are you like reading beyond that? Like, are you baking compulsively? Like, what are you doing?
I mean, okay, first and foremost, I will share, again, like case in point, I have a piece of information I think might be useful. What's bringing me joy truly from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to sleep is the knowledge right now that my family is safe and healthy. And that every morning I wake up and take a deep breath, I feel really happy. It like I'm the minimum things of like health and safety.
Yeah.
And I was watching The West Wing before I started How I Learned to Drive. I was like doing a big rewatch of it. And it like took my breath away when I got to the part where Donna tells Josh that, like, tells the story of how, like, you've got health and strength and we'll steal the rest. Mm-hmm. That is everything to me right now. Every day that I have health and strength, the rest is negotiable. I'll get it. Yeah. I've been watching The Office. I've been watching that. Like, I find that is just such easy, like,
it's very comforting.
It's so comforting. I also watched Johanna Day recommended this series, Better Things, that Pamela Adlon wrote. And it's about, she's like a mom and an actress in LA. And it's so, she's got this rough edge, but she's so sincere. And I really, really enjoyed, I watched all of that. I watched Unorthodox.
Oh, that's next on our list. Everybody says it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. And also what's bringing me a lot of joy is that my friends are all free all the time. And so we can all talk all the time. And I've really enjoyed having time to just like talk to everybody and get to kind of connect. If you're home right now, I feel so lucky that I am home and like that I'm able to be home and that I have free time. And so I'm trying to like, there's just all the stuff I normally wouldn't be able to do, like talk to my friends and watch TV without feeling guilty. And the last thing I will say that's bringing me a lot of joy is that no one is satisfied with this.
No.
We're satisfied retreating to our caves behind our screens, talking to our friends from afar. We want to be in the theater. We want to be together. We want to be sharing heartbeats and breath in a room while someone tells us a story. And that, to me, I would be so devastated if we were all like, this is
great. And everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. And that it's proving that like robots are never going to take over because we are too unsatisfied with the lack of connection right now. And that makes me so excited for theater when we're allowed to do it again. Alyssa,
thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. It was great chatting.
This was fun. Follow Alyssa. I just posted her social handles and social handle for Pocket Universe.
Yes.
Follow us across all our platforms at TheaterMania. And I will see you on Friday tomorrow afternoon with Drew Gasparini.
I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody. Take care.